right, let's take a quick look at lesson 15.1, percents and decimals. This is going to be a review. We've been working on this for a long time. We just need to make sure that we've got it down solid before we apply it to a little more difficult concepts. So the first part of 15.1 is writing percents as decimals. So when we see something like 52%, we want that in the form of a decimal, okay? So you are going to divide by 100, okay? Now, the easy way to divide by 100 is to use what we know about powers of 10. In other words, to do that, wherever the decimal point is, we're gonna move it. Move the decimal point 2 times to the left. Okay, so 1, 2 to the left. Okay, now if a number doesn't have a decimal point and it's a whole number, you just need to make sure you insert that decimal point first. So 52%, 52 is a whole number. We would move it twice to the left and we get 0.52 or 52 hundredths. Let's try 2 more of those. So you might be given 3%. Okay, 3 doesn't have a decimal point. It's a whole number, so we would add it at the end. Move it twice to the left. We have a gap here, so we just fill in a 0 and we end up with 3 hundredths. Let's try one more. Maybe you have a percent over 100, 107%. No decimal point is provided, so we would add 1 at the end since it's a whole number. It's always twice, once, twice. So we get 1 7 hundredths. Okay, that's part 1. Part 2 is going to be the reverse. So part 2, we're gonna start with decimals and write them as percents. So writing decimals as percents. So basically, we are going to do the opposite. So instead of dividing by 100, we are going to multiply by 100. And the quick, easy way to multiply by 100 is to move our decimal point. Whoopsies, sorry, can't see it. 2 times to the right. We've practiced this before. So let's see what it looks like. So if we have a decimal 47 hundredths, we would multiply by 100 to get it to a percent, or move that decimal point twice to the right, and we get 47%. If we had a decimal like, I don't know, 663 thousandths, it's always twice to the right, and we have 66.3%. Okay, let's try one more. Maybe we had 1.8 was our decimal. We would still move it twice to the right. We have a gap, so we fill in a 0, and we have 180%. Okay, so we have one more part to our lesson, part 3. And we are going to be starting with fractions. So writing fractions as percents and decimals. We've done this a lot over the course of the year, and there's a couple strategies that we can use. So if we had an easy fraction like 23/25, Remember, percents are always out of 100, okay? So we can multiply the numerator and denominator by 4. So we get 100, and we get 92 as a numerator. So that would make 92%. And then to get it to a decimal, we would move it twice to the left, and we would get 0.92 as a decimal, okay? Just a reminder, sometimes we're not given easy fractions. In other words, the denominator doesn't go easily into 100, or evenly, I should say. So we can always divide. Remember, the fraction bar means division. Divide, and this works every time, the numerator by the denominator. So numerator would go inside the division box, denominator would go on the outside, and that would get us to our decimal form. And then from there we can change it into a percent. So if we had something like, let's say 5/7 as our fraction, well, 7 doesn't go evenly into 100. Maybe we don't know what to multiply by. So we would divide our numerator by the denominator, add a decimal point, hop it up, add 3 zeros. 7 doesn't go into 5, goes in 0 times. 7 goes into 50, 7 times at 49. Subtract, I get 1. 7 goes into 10 once at 7. Subtract, I get 3. 7 goes into 30 4 times at 28. And I could keep dividing, but I'm not going to. So here's our decimal. It's not rounded, it's just the rough estimate of what 5/7 is as a decimal. Then we could move it twice to the right to get our percent, 71.4%. You can add this little squiggly line, and that means about. .4%. Okay. Okay, so that completes our lesson for today. Go ahead and check out the practice problems.